Hey all, let's look here at a large site design. This is a template for how you can use permabeds and overall ecosystem patterning to make very complex, large-scale ecological projects such as eco-education projects. So what we're seeing here is a whole bunch of plots that have been organized here, and all of these are single beds. So this is a bed going along, and you can decide how much you want this bed to be, how long you want it to be, or how much you want each cell to represent. So here, this cell is 5 feet long, 10, 15, 20. This is 25 feet long here, etc. Right? I always alternate the colors basically because ultimately I want to have overall some sort of patterning happening in a large site, in any size site, really. And this could be the patterning of, essentially larger plants versus smaller plants, basically. But it could, with the annuals, be the maturity, how long it takes to mature. So what happens here is we have an organized bed system. Let's say this is a restoration project on a large farm in, say, Kansas, relatively flat. So we're going to go with straight rows and straight beds. I always say that, you can go with pretty straight rows and beds on flat land. If you're on a little bit of a slope, just keep them perpendicular to the slope and take that into account with how you plan out your pathways to make sure you don't have a lot of bare soil if it's in garden. But if you are on a steeper slope, you want these on contour. But we can still design it like this in terms of just thinking about it. So if you have these straight runs, this is easy for maintenance. This is easy for planting. I mean, you could run along here with a tractor and a dibbler, for instance, to mark out all the holes for planting. Or you could run through with a compost spreader or any sort of preparation equipment. So you can end up with a really organized series of beds for management. And then later you can put sinuous pathways, throughout. So this is sort of just generally, put on here as a way of kind of seeing how the pathways can run. This has just been lightly sketched on. Here's maybe a meeting space where there could be a pagoda or a outdoor education space here. So same thing here, a larger area. So this shows you how you can have a very linear permabed system, and then you can overlay your pathway afterwards, which makes it quite easy to go through. In fact, once you've planted everything, all you'd have to do is anywhere where the pathway is going to be designated, when you are planting on these beds here, you would just stop planting roughly here. You would have that spot, you'd stop, right? And then you could make the path through by going and just going through with like a little mini excavator and cutting through, and then putting a gravel base for a path. Or you could keep it as an earthen path and seed it down to a mix of things like thymes and clovers and gentle grasses that are going to hold that space as a living walkway. So, but the other thing you might notice that we have going on here is there's a few different colors going on, and that's because we're also starting to create different theme zones here. So here we have a culinary medicinal herb meadow, that are popping up. Over here, we have a fruit berry woodland. Here, there's a tall grass prairie restoration. So what we are seeing is that although everything is lined up, we're able to actually decide where we plant different things to give it more of a unique theme in different areas of this overall field. This is just a large, multiple acre field. But here we have a temperate woodland restoration. Sorry, that was the last one there. So we're able to create themes as we want, giving it a little more of a sense of randomness, and also themes. And of course, these are going to spread and fill in and meet in the ways that they will naturally do. So again, ecosystem design is not about being wild in the way that we plant. It's about allowing those site-suitable species to go wild in the way that they are naturally over time. So organized beds allow all sorts of activity to occur. So, even at a future date, you don't have to drive along these sinuous paths to come in here and maintain, because if every other bed here is making sure that you have access, you could drive a tractor down this bed here because it's most likely going to be in lower growing species, whereas the treed species might be in these beds here, these red ones in this case. So you can actually drive along and access for pruning or harvest or anything else like that. So this sort of model allows that that diversity and that beauty and wildness while also having practical maintenance. So this is really just using spreadsheets to create a map. And in this case, we're looking at how to map like a larger planting area, like a restoration project that might be for a larger ecosystem education space. So in terms of layout, there's other material we have in terms of how to go about planting and design, etc. But this is simply about how to lay out that space, getting the organization of straight beds, the efficiency of straight beds, while maintaining the curvy paths that people like to meander on to visit sites, and showing you how you can use color to designate different areas and the alternation of larger species like woody, stemmed species, and low growing ground covers and herbs and things like that, which also maintain access. So that's all for this lecture, and we'll see you next time.